Alright, chat. Just win me the run, okay? New game +4 is like, it's nasty, man. I think I roll Merchant, Psychic. Like, new game +4 is... Oh, hold on, I gotta move chat over here. Oh, jeez. Pause, please. Thank you. Move this. Okay. New game +4 is honestly not just... Pardon me, I got the burps. Not just bodying me, but also, like, I'm not even getting close. Rogues are easy to succeed with. Psychers are good now. Psych. Yeah, I played one game after they changed Psychics to have, like, this weird AoE attack fly. And I'm not an enormous fan, but I also respect that that is kind of irrelevant for balance purposes. I buy all three here without a doubt. Very good, flexible options here. Banger stream title. Thank you. I do feel, so I'm basically asking you to absolve me of my negative emotions. But, like, obviously the guy who says there's no such thing as a coincidence, you know, there's a couple of different ideas or theories I have about him, right? One is he's an actor. In which case he's, you know, an amazing actor. Another one would be he's so free of self-awareness that he just loves the publicity he's getting from the meme and doesn't really care about the fact that he's being made fun of worldwide. The third one is the one that scares me, which is where he's like, everybody's making fun of me and I hate myself. So I hope that he's okay. I do like referencing the video because it's like the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, but he might be a cult leader or alternatively promoting a multi-level marketing scheme. Might though. Because like might comes with an implied, like, might not. So I don't know. Anyway, long story short, I'm just not going to worry about the consequences until they actually affect me, but... A cult is just an MLM for your soul. You know, I never really thought about that. I think I mentioned it, but I deleted my Facebook long enough ago that I don't remember when I deleted it. Like, especially with the pandemic, I feel like 2016 to 2019 is 36 months that all took place in a single year. Speed 3. Position 3 attacks faster. Attack speed to random unit if you have 2 or more enchanters. Creates an area that pulls enemies in on sorcerer spell repeat. I'm gonna take position 3 for now. And my rogue is just gonna frickin' pop. Engineer. Drop sentries that shoot bursts. I'll take you for now. Oh, you know what? I'll take you for now as well. Let's just get it going. But anyway, the only thing I miss about it, and I legitimately, like, the muscle memory of typing www.f was removed essentially instantaneously. The only thing I miss about it is seeing which of my high school and middle school classmates eventually got sucked into either, like, LuLaRoe or, you know, stuff of that sort. I have to imagine, this is my own bias taking over here, but I have to imagine that because so many speculative assets have, like, popped off in 2020 and 2021, I have to imagine that there's been even more of them going around. I will say there were people that, you know, I know from high school that I have heard that just in the past 6 months or so, they've pivoted to being like full-time cryptocurrency traders and investors. And I'm like, don't get me wrong. It's like, I think it's a sick gig if it lasts. I'm not, like, I haven't talked to these people in, like, you know, literally 15, 16 years. I'm not going to give them advice on how to live their life, but if it is Malf, yeah, that's, anytime Malf says he's not streaming today, He'll probably try to spin you a yarn about like, oh, there's a high pressure system rolling through Toronto right now. Nah, man. Nah, it's all DeFi. He's down in the crypto mines. I chill here. Anyway, that's just, I listened to a podcast. Can I hit you with an incredibly controversial statement that you're gonna need to wait a second to not be mad about? And this is kind of informed by mathematics, but also kind of informed by this podcast I listened to about a Ponzi scheme that eventually blew up, as like they all do. But a Ponzi scheme actually seems like pretty sweet until it irreversibly pops and collapses and ruins the people who got in late. Listening to this, because I think that the media, rightfully, for the record, focuses on the fact that if you get in late to a Ponzi scheme, you lose your life savings, which is fair. But if you're like one of the first like 5% of the people that get in on a Ponzi scheme, you're making bank, dude. That's like, nobody's... I feel like they don't focus on that enough. Nobody's focusing on like, hey man, if you get in early on this total scam, you're freaking ripping it up. Can I fit a corruptor? Okay. Start a Ponzi? No, I'm just saying, like, the bit is not Ponzi schemes are good. It's just like I read this blog about this obvious Ponzi scheme as well. I mean, the podcast I didn't even talk about, but basically the podcast was just like, I used my, money that I made from this MLM to buy like a Manhattan penthouse that overlooks Central Park. And I was like, yo, that sounds pretty sick. And then like, 2 episodes later, she was like, oh yeah, a year after that, I lost my life savings. And I was like, okay, so there's the bad side. But I also read this blog that exposes scams. And it got me thinking, not in a way like I would partake, but there's apparently this scam like website or service that's very popular in England, where they advertise like, hey, you give us money, we're professional foreign exchange traders. With the money that you give us, we can generate, like, let's say you give us $1,000, we'll generate a 5% return for you weekly, which I think if you're not that into investing, doesn't sound that unreasonable. 5% weekly? It's a small number. 5 is, it's only 1/20th of 100. If you actually look at the numbers, like, your $1,000 compounded at 5% weekly is probably like, I don't even know, like... In 10 years, you have, like, more money than the entirety of the Earth's GDP or something like that. But, anyway, so it's a Ponzi scheme, long story short. You give them, your $1,000. They pay you $50 a week. I don't know if it compounds, but it's kind of irrelevant for the purposes of this. What's funny is that the article that exposes it as an obvious Ponzi scheme actually had more angry comments than like any piece of media I've ever read in my entire life. And it was from people, I know you could say it's astroturfing, but based on how inarticulate the comments were, I genuinely don't believe that. I believe that it was real people who were involved in the scheme that were mad that this guy's trying to pop the bubble. And for some of them, you're like, I'm not going to say you can see their point, but you can sort of understand where they're coming from. They're like, I gave these guys $1,000 and I've already made $1,200 back. So how could it be a scam? And you're like, I don't think you're going to be capable of understanding this, because you're in the very, very head of the snake. And if you're at the end of the human centipede, all of those people are potentially eating your crap in order to make you a little richer. But anyway, it was an interesting kind of like psychological thing to take a look at. But it's never late if it keeps growing. Technically true. Eventually, you know, it's like compound interest, right? You just need to get the entire... if all the insects in the world buy in, then you can keep it going ad nauseum. Okay, so at some point... Hello, Bear Taffy, by the way. We gotta figure out how we're gonna build this. We're on level 9. Witches are Pog. You know what? I saw 2 people say witches are Pog. So we will buy witches. I really think we should get rid of our psychics. Like Psy Keeper, no sweat. Replace with Witch. Easiest money ever made. If the Witch is going to stick around, we want more Sorcerers and more Voiders. Max interest is 25, but with a Merchant, we do get +1 interest for every 10 gold. I think we could reroll 1 more, and I'm very happy to invest in all of that, actually. Don't mind that at all. Anytime you get a chance to level those squires, I think you gotta take them. I saw somebody ask about TFT. I'm not just bringing it up ad nauseum, but I haven't played any TFT in a couple of days. I ranked up to Silver 4. I still have never won a game. And I gotta say, I kind of like that, I kind of like the vibe of a game where you can win without winning. I've talked about it before, like in, I feel like, okay, EU, like, don't get a big head about this, alright? Please don't shoot, thank you. But I feel like North American sports are so much like winner takes all. And in European sports, depending on who you're a supporter of, like in particular, I'm thinking of like F1 and, you know, even club football to an extent. Like if you're a supporter of like a crappy team, you're not like, oh, I hope we win the Premiership this year. You might not even be in the Premiership. You might be like, honestly, if we don't come in the bottom 3 positions, like I consider that a huge victory. Same with F1, is like if you find yourself being a fan of like some of the F1 franchises, you're like, a win would be awesome, but it's like almost historically without precedent. I would be happy if we just got like a point in the chase, which I think is really cool. The idea of, uh-oh. Saved. The idea of like being content with like a 5th place finish is a really, it's a novel concept coming from North American sports. I mean, you still, like, you make your own goals. Like, for the Canucks, I was not like, oh, I'll be happy if they win the Stanley Cup. I was like, dude, I'll be happy if they even, like, play a game this season. After the pandemic, and then also the whole team literally getting coronavirus. Yeah, I love the idea of relegation. It definitely, I think you have to build the sport from the ground up to allow for it. Because, like, you wouldn't even imagine, like, if, like, the Green Bay Packers got relegated or something like that, you know, that's real bad for business. But I think now we might be dead for real. These guys don't, like, die of old age or anything, huh? Please, please? Oh, come on. Only greens and blues. Owens? That was like the movie Equilibrium. We did some gun kata. Let's go! Okay, this is your last chance. No, we can't win. F. He dips between the bullets. Alright. Well, you know, it was an attempt. Let's try again. New game +4. New game +4. No joke. Miner. Picking up gold releases projectiles. An illusionist. You know what? Squire's good, but let's try illusionist here. That's a weird roll. All that for that ending. Squire's an always take. Yeah, but it doesn't do any damage, right? I'm like, this guy, at least he's doing some damage. I was reading on Reddit, by the way, because that's my favorite website, is where I spend all my time. That and theeconomist.com. People were telling stories about, like, when they saw movies that they only saw because the theater had sold out of tickets in what they actually wanted to see. And I was thinking if I have a story like that for myself. I don't think I do, but I bet a lot of people do. Like, so one guy was like, I thought I was going to see The Illusionist, and then it turns out that I was actually watching The Prestige, and it became one of my favorite movies. And I'm like, that's a great story. That's how I saw The Mummy 3. I saw The Mummy 3 in theaters on purpose. But the only thing I'm going to say is that I knew it was going to be bad. I didn't go see it thinking it was going to be good. I went to see it in theaters knowing it was going to be bad. That was why I was there. We were supposed to see Signs, but it sold out, so I had to see Master of Disguise. Honestly, one of the most tragic stories of cinema I've ever heard in my life. That's really bad. Yeah, it only happened recently that you would reserve your seat for a movie. I mean, even like in 2011, that's when I lived in South Korea. One of the things I loved about seeing movies in South Korea was that you buy a ticket and reserve your seat in advance. And then the other thing I loved was more like in principle, I should say, but all the movies were in English with Korean subtitles, which had me thinking, like, I would love a movie theater that just had English subtitles on at all time. I know I say it like once a week, but I watch all content with subtitles on. People say Gravity Field is like the greatest item in the game. Let's give it a try. So now we reserve seats. I don't know if I made that clear. But prior to, I would say like prior to like 2015, in Canada, we still didn't reserve seats at the movie theater. You just kind of, and even still, some theaters are general admission where you just buy a ticket and then, do a draft basically. I haven't been to a theater in a long time. I was thinking, I know this is, we shouldn't let this divide moviegoers, but I was like watching, because theaters have opened up again a little bit here. People were like, oh, I'm so excited, I'm going to the theater for the first time since like Sonic the Hedgehog. And I was like, you saw Sonic in theaters? I guess we don't even need to level you up. I'm not that much further. Like, the last movie I saw in theaters was, I saw Parasite in probably December 2019. So it's not like it's been that long for me, but still. It was a good way to end it, although I didn't know it at the time. Yeah, I hate non-reserved seats, man. There's a few things, like, I could die happy if my generation phased out a few things that are considered normal. One of them would be, like, non-reserved seating at theaters. Another one would be, and this is apropos of nothing at all, but I just think about it now and then. If we, as millennials, when we become the driving cultural force of, North America and beyond, if we could find it somehow to phase out negotiating for car prices and instead just everything costs what it's supposed to cost, and you don't get either a discount or a penalty based on your ability to engage in negotiation for some weird reason that makes no sense to me. Why that's the only thing we do that for, really? I guess you do it for a house as well, but it's kind of different now because everybody's paying over asking. called haggling, sweetie. And tipping. Hey man, I think in BC, I haven't been out to a restaurant in a while, so I didn't look too much into it. I think in BC we started paying a living wage to food service workers. Tipping culture definitely still exists here, but that might be like one of the steps. That might be an early step towards maybe starting to eradicate tipping culture here. I'm gonna die again. No, I'm not gonna die. I got a Squire. It's the strongest unit in the game. You can't stop me. No, no, no! He has 1 health bar left. He's got a single pip. I'm Gladys Knight, so the light from the sun would not burn me on my bum. There you go. Get him, get him. Oh, it's not a Squire, it's a warrior. I'm dead. Okay, try again. Try again. It happens. I got one more try here. Dude, new game +4 is like, it's too much. It's too much. Gen Z loves to haggle? Is that true? I gotta say, I was listening to an economics podcast the other day, and I found it very refreshing. They were interviewing, like, he had to be like 70 years old, and he was talking about how, like, in his opinion, one of the problems with society right now is people have too thin of a skin. And then he made a very, in my opinion, he made a very clear distinction and said everybody's gonna think I'm talking about the younger generation, but I'm actually talking largely about people who are middle-aged and older but can't stand up to even the slightest bit of adversity. And I was like, damn, this dude's going off. I really expected this to be like an okay boomer moment, but instead I was like, this boomer's based. This boomer will never be based. Cereal. Anyway, I'm not trying to stoke the fires of generational warfare. Based on what? Based on the idea I have in my head of somebody that's 55 years old berating a waitress because they only have Coke and not Pepsi. I don't know if it's ever happened in real life, but it sounds plausible enough that I'm willing to shape my entire worldview around it. Agreed. Oh, thank you. But, like, I know I've been through this before, but I really just don't understand, like, why we still have negotiations for cars. It just seems crazy. If you have one or more enchanters, do more damage, defense, and attack speed, dude, just get an enchanter. Forehead, then it's an all-stats upgrade. Take them all. It's as strong as it sounds. Let's go. I also, and I know, like, I'm in danger of becoming that guy. I really don't listen to that many podcasts, believe it or not. I just happened to go for a walk with the baby this morning, so there's been a couple more in the hopper than regular. But I listened to an episode of This American Life a few months ago about, like, car salesmen, and it seems like, despite cars being very expensive, almost nobody involved in their production or sale makes any money at all, including car dealerships and the salesmen at them. Like, people were like, I'm not going to be able to pay for my kids' like, shoes when they go back to school unless I sell 93 Toyotas this month. And you're like, what? This system it does not work. It costs one. I'm willing to pay for it for one. Like, why? That's what I'm saying. Although, I will also say, I feel like the average price of, like, a compact sedan has been literally exactly the same since I was, like, maybe 5 years old. Yes, stay in the HP zone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, what if we just do this over and over? I regret it. See you later. I just think it's messed up that, like, two people can go to a car dealership and pay a different price for the same good. But I don't know, maybe that makes me un-American. Which is fair, I don't live in America, I suppose. I'm not mad, I just think it's funny. Dude, this is much better than our last run. Wait, stand in the HP zone, dude. I gotta... The green dots are also HP. We have many HP-related synergies right now. There we go. Get owns. This is much better than our last run. I should not have to fight you. Your boss is dead. You don't have to be at work anymore. Take the day off. Max cursing targets. Warriors do more damage when they miss HP. This is a 5-star reroll for me. I'll just do damage 4. Position 4 does most damage now. Now, in my head, we want to add an enchanter, but we also don't want to screw up our economy yet. If the elite doesn't show up for 15 minutes, we can go home. Dude, I'm realizing I gotta stop myself. I've been listening to too many podcasts. I'm becoming radicalized. Did you know that the cost of tuition at state schools in America has gone up 1,200% since 1980? If you got a 4-year bachelor's degree from the University of Rhode Island, all in, your cost would have been $10,000 in 1980. Adjusted for inflation, it's about $38,000 in 2021 money. Actual real cost if you go to the University of Rhode Island in 2021, it's like $200,000. What the heck are they doing, man? But you already knew that. It's crazy. What the heck are they doing down there? But then, I listened to one podcast on this. I'm not an expert. But at first I was like, those greedy schools. And then the guy on the podcast was like, oh, actually, what's happened is that, like, in the 2008 financial crisis, especially, governments needed a way to not go extremely into debt on the state level. So one of the things that they did is stop subsidizing educational institutes, because it's one of the easiest things politically to pass, because taxpayers won't get too upset about it because most of them have already gone through college to begin with. So tuition had to actually rise in response to the subsidies like no longer being as present as they used to be. And I was like, I don't even know who to be mad at anymore, man. I thought I had it all figured out. Now I'm just impotently mad about nothing. I got no action items. They're just poking the bear. Put the whole system on trial. Okay, we are now at good interest level. We got to start to think. Namely, I would say add an enchanter. If you can add an enchanter, you're going to be pretty happy, I think. I know we just screwed up our interest cap, but... Christian Bale? Yeah, Christian! Everything was fine until Christian Bale pivoted off of Batman and starred in that weird Terrence Malick movie, The Knight of Cups. I really look at that as like the divergence point from when we slipped from the Good Place timeline into the Cursed Place timeline. Like, what was he? Dude, you're a Hollywood star. Don't get me wrong, you should be able to choose like weirder movies that are like a little bit more interesting to you. But really, The Knight of Cups is what you chose as your passion project? Come on, man. Excuse me, the what? The Knight of Cups? I believe it also starred Anne Hathaway. I don't need to. Anne Hathaway, possibly the most famous actress of her generation, who was also in Catwoman, for that matter. But perhaps most well known for the cult classic, The Devil Wears Prada. Please. Oh my God. But you already knew that. She was not in Catwoman. Sorry, I said she played. I meant to say she played Catwoman, but she was in Batman. /marker.